Hey everyone, welcome to this full moon in Gemini report. Now the full moon was the 18th and 19th, so I'm in the UK, so it's the 19th, and there's Venus retrograde as well. So I'm going to do quite a lot about the Venus retrograde and a little bit about the other planets today, but I'm really interested in that retrograde phase and what it's going to bring in for us. It's happened sort of back in 2014, I think it was, and around 2005. There were a few others as well, and these retrogrades do have an influence. Now, this isn't anything like Mercury retrograde, and it's nothing to be scared about anyway. Not really sure why people get afraid of retrogrades, but this one is an interesting one. Okay, now it is retrograde from today, so the 19th, and it ends at the end of January, the Venus retrograde. However, there's a shadow up until the beginning of March, so that's something to be really, really aware of. Now, we are in a space of kind of a radical review, right? And as we know with full moons, and all full moons, they're about releasing something, okay, and cleansing and clearing. And we are in that energy. Now, the thing with having Venus in retrograde, right, is that, so this is in Capricorn, okay, and also we've got the full moon in Gemini and we've got the Sagittarius where the sun is. But the thing with the Venus retrograde is it can bring up things of kind of having to look the values. Also, it's the planet of love. So it's asking us to consider things, right? Things from your past might flag up right now. Actually, situations from the past might flag up right now. Something may come up to the surface that wasn't dealt with back in a former Venus retrograde, okay? And this stuff's quite interesting to look at, right? Because it's about checking in with your deep value system, having a radical review, being really careful, understanding as well that there are some hard aspects between Venus and Pluto, which could lead to a type of obsession. Now, it's not all bad, obviously, although I would be very careful during this period with regard to financial undertakings, large ones, not so great. Not the greatest time to start a relationship either, or maybe get married. Although, people have done that, but it's to be aware of the period and how things are happening for you. Also, in this cycle, it's a good time to create a plan or to rethink your personal relationships. It's more about understanding those things than starting those things, right? So, you can take the action later when it's direct again, rather than allowing it to, because it can mess things up, okay? I want to talk a little bit more about the moon in general, so excuse me when I turn my paper. But yeah, the moon in general, obviously it's in Gemini. Be careful right now, because the moon in Gemini can lead to a kind of confusion. And funnily enough, even me doing this report today, I was really confused. And there can be a kind of unsettling element around it, okay? So you've got the Sagittarius sun, which is about truth and needing to find out what's going on, and that independent streak and harmony. And then you've got this really kind of unsettled, almost, or kind of, not flaky is not a good word for it, but a kind of confused, unsettled Gemini energy coming up. You may even have found over the last few days, and probably going forward the next 3 or 4 days, that you may have crazy odd dreams, and you'll remember them. And funnily enough, I remember mine. So you may find that your dreams are really calling you to attention, right? Now, I want you to really look at your inner critic right now. Watch out for it. Now, it's to work with what comes up by asking gentle questions rather than critiquing or having criticism. So it's to step into understanding that this is a really pertinent time for you to notice what's coming up in that kind of critique sort of sense, but to really be strong in how you're going to play that, okay? So really recognize what that is going to come up like for you. So it's about really asking gentle questions. Well, let the light of the moon, or that kind of twindom of Gemini, to take a look at both sides, okay? Tap into any of your limiting fears, your beliefs, your anything that's kind of stuck, anything that is trapped in limitation, because you've got the two sides of the Queen here, okay? So you can look at things carefully here. Now also look at repetition, what keeps repeating, right? Now when I was saying about Venus retrograde, retrogrades bring up old patterning. That retrograde will Venus retrograde with, and it's in the area of relationship, maybe finances as well, okay? But it's to take this time to kind of look at this repetition. What can you do differently this time? What can you do a different way? How did you deal with it before? You see, we tend to often, in our emotional landscape, we tend to knee-jerk reactions. So we tend to go back to that same way of behaving. This is asking you to do something different. It brings up, and it brings to mind the quote by Einstein. I think it was Einstein, wasn't it? If you keep doing things the same way, then you're going to, and expecting different results, then that's just the definition of insanity. If it wasn't Einstein, please tell me in the comments who it was. So so remember also that you've got this free spirit energy of the Sagittarius, that breaking free, this knowledge for truth, and use the energies of both signs to help you to step into that inquiry phase, okay? We're in that place of kind of letting go of the past. The message here very deeply is to let go of that which no longer serves us, because we can't keep on living in that kind of energy field that doesn't do us any good. So remember the trickiness of Venus, because Venus is the love sign, and it's all about pleasure and comfort, I would say, maybe. And yet in its other aspect, in its retrograde, it doesn't give us that, and it makes it very hard to get that. So to be aware of that, it doesn't mean you can't, it just means that it's to be more aware of that, to be more open to understanding that we need to look at things in a different way. And I think that's kind of really a key thing here, to be looking at things in a different way. Now, the thing about, I've been talking about this quite a lot in the report, about the internal referencing system. I've been talking a lot about finding your own internal referencing system rather than looking outside of yourself to understand how your world is playing out. It's really important right now that you come back within and you really find a core stability here, which is you in line with your world, rather than your world showing you how to be in line. And that's kind of a real important aspect for this month, because we're at the end of the year, and it's about taking into 2022 a stronger, more honed in you that isn't being projected upon and then displaying those projections. This is more about authenticity and truth and being your real true self, right? So that's kind of what you need to be looking at, right? And with that, it's to look at what's coming up for you around that. We also need to be, we've got kind of there's been a lot of opinionations and judgment that's been highlighted over the last few months within the moons and the new moons, and within the planetary activity. We really have to be careful with how we are expressing our own inner belief systems, and we also need to be looking at what is we're reflecting outwards and what these belief systems are, because there is something of disvalue there, something that isn't you, that's been played out many times, but it's actually not your real true feelings. So it's to ask about that. And I know I've said it before, but I'm bringing it up again because we tend to be reticent to analyze and look at and really put our own feelings under a microscope. We tend to just believe that's how we are. So So it's to kind of step into being more strong in this value system and recognizing where your value system is and really being strong. Remember, we change as we get older. We don't always hold the same core beliefs and things, and we learn from the experiences we have. So let your learning inform what's coming up and how things are being brought up in general, okay? And the other thing I would point out is during this moon, there could be it could have been just before this moon actually, there's a lot of accumulated karma in the collective conscience at the moment, and we are collectively trying to clear it, yet we are in this kind of push-pull situation, and you all know what I'm talking about. Within this push-pull situation, it makes it quite tricky. It doesn't mean we can't do it if we stay strong, right? And being that strength is what is going to help us. Now, I'm coming into more the Gemini energy now. Now, we're in this Gemini energy at around the 27, 28 degrees. What is coming up in terms of health is always one of the ones around here, right? So it's going to be highlighting how we're dealing with health. I think it could be posing the question of, we've had a lot of stuff around that over the last few years. Maybe we need to look, if something isn't working, then it has to be changed, right? And that doesn't mean more of the same. It kind of needs and it also needs a gentler approach, is what I'm seeing here. Getting that strong energy through, especially from the angels right now, which is to bring in a softer energy with the way that we look at the way that we deal with health, and that's our own internal health, and then how we look at how the rest of the world deals with it. Also remembering very strongly that our beliefs, our structures, and our ideals and the way we do things do not apply to everybody else. They apply to us. And loving conscious energy asks us very strongly to be aware of that, to be aware that we are not the masters of everyone else's ships. We're the masters of our own ship. And by being really strong in our own masterfulness, we'll then see the reflection of love coming back at us through that behaviour. I want to say as well that due to the winter solstice and the energies of this December, and actually I tend to see this in most Decembers, we are offered the opportunity to raise our vibrations, which means that there's an availability of an upper consciousness which is delivered to us, which we can tap into. Now, of course, you're going to have to do the work to get this, but this is an opportunity to move out of that contraction into a sense of expansion rather than being all kind of small-minded, right? But this, like I say, gives us this opening, a gateway to a new consciousness if we allow it. Like I say, I always see December as an opening portal due to the winter solstice, which gives us the opportunities for that. I want to say this makes it hard to hide stuff. However, I think if you really want to still hide stuff, then you will still hide stuff. I think, where we're at here is to release the need to hold on to anything that kind of brings you stuckness. Be honest, resist isn't going to help you here, right? This is about newness and giving up all that resistance. Often when I talk about love, people get confused or stuck or questioning, and the reason they get stuck and questioning is because we're addicted to the feeling of not being in self-love. We're addicted to the feeling of judgment. We're addicted to the feeling of questioning. We're complicit in this ideology, but we constantly have to prove things, and due to this we can stay very, very, very contraction isn't going to work for us. We are being pulled very significantly to expansion, to expanded consciousness. We do have an energy at the moment that's trying to keep that at bay, yet it doesn't mean it isn't happening. And I'm not even sure we can stop it. So whatever's going on with you, it's worth letting go of that kind of, where you're trying to push, start, it's worth letting go of that start energy so that you can push into a deeper, higher consciousness energy that brings you the information that you require so you can change your life, because it will change your life if you're willing to let it. to kind of remember the surge in energy that comes with the solstice. I think that's going to go on until the 11th of January around. I can't remember because I haven't got my chart right in front of me. Oh yes, hang on, yes it is. So around the 11th of January, okay. So that energy is going to give you the boost to be able to upgrade and change the energy system that you are working with, okay. Now, there are other things going on kind of where there's an energy of being able to expand, but in that kind of curious way, being able to expand through curiosity, using the Gemini energy to help us to catalyze that curiosity and being more open to it, because Gemini holds both sides, right? Remember, it's going to have that curiosity, but it's also going to have that almost secretive stubbornness or upset energy. So it's to be very careful with that and to be very open to that, because it's going to come through and make itself known to you. We may kind of still, because the 24th and the 25th are really important dates of December. They are when the energies are going to be quite profound, and we may find because there is the square there, right? Saturn and Uranus, if I remember rightly. Yes, Saturn and Uranus. And you know, we've got to be really careful, because we've got a lot of against happening here, like against things, like it's kind of we're fighting against the old order and the new order kind of thing. There's this kind of push-pull situation going on, and it's kind of to be kind of really aware of that, right? And to be really careful. And I did speak in my last few reports about Mars energy. Mars, and there's kind of almost a warlike energy. But I remember what I said before, and it's to take that energy and use it in a different way. You got to think of kind of like that Kali, you know, the Hindu goddess Kali Ma, her energy. But she destroys things, but to bring light. And it's to understand that sometimes there may be destruction in order to bring that light through, right? To kind of know that and to understand that there may be some triggerings and there may be some irritability. What with the Mars energy, there's Mercury energy, and what's going on with the moon, okay? We're being asked really in a really deep way to stay in strength. We're being asked to be strong and tough and powerful and brave, and to keep the faith here in order to move forward into a better alignment. It cannot happen if we do not move into trusting, because through trust is how we can stop that mass sort of triggering and the upset that could occur. Think of this cold moon as the culmination. It's the final full moon of the year. It is asking us to look at everything. So maybe to review. Now, I have a video coming out on the 23rd of December. I will put a link in the information below. You might want to have a look at it, because it asks us in the video, it's one of my coaching videos, but it gives the advice on how we can make a life review and move ourselves forward in a better way. It really will help you. It's completely free. It's just an audio with me explaining what you can do to move yourself into 2022 in a deeper way. It's very, very a simple methodology, but it can help you, and it can help you with anything. So have a little look out for that. But like I say, it goes live on the 23rd of December. So you'll be able to tap into that link at that point. The general idea of it is to ask you to take a life review, to review your life, to look at what has been, to look at what 2021 brought for you, so that you can make changes. If you can, allow Gemini's energy to bring up the curiosity in you. You know, allow it to help you to go inwards, to look at the type of world that you want to see. You know, what's going on? Who are you going to be? What's coming up for you? What feels right? You know, because this is really going to catalyze your life, because you got to remember, we all actually do affect one another. Think the butterfly effect. Think all of that. So when we come from our greatest, purest selves, we can then effectively bring that out into the world at large by the harmony and community and cooperation that we create, right? I don't know if you guys remember, but in my reading for December, cooperation did actually come up, I think, for the first week. Or second week, actually, probably. So that is where we're trying to go. We're looking for that harmony, that cooperation, that collective vision, right? So, what's going to happen from here? This, obviously, because it's full moon, something is coming to an end. And because we're at the end of the year, I always say at the end of the year, the full moon has a deeper impact. And the reason it has a deeper impact is because we are stepping into a new energy field. When we go into new year, we move into a new energy field. That happens regardless. And because of that, we get revelations, we get things revealed to us, we are shown a light, and that light says to us, this is what needs to change, right? So it's to really kind of ask yourself about those situations and to say, what do I need to clear up? What do I need to let go of? There might be a bit of murkiness as well. So be careful of that murkiness, and to note that because of the Gemini energy, you can use the curiosity instead, and also look at the different parts of what's coming up. What are you feeling? What can you switch off and let go of and release, right? What isn't going to work anymore? You've got to find out what's within and just really have in order to ride it. Because if we keep on doing the things we did, like I said about the Venus energy is going to bring stuff up, that Venus retrograde. And I just want to go into that actually about the retrograde. Be aware that past things might come up, past relationship stuff, right? And I may have already said it, but be really aware that it could bring up things that you didn't deal with before, and to be really aware of how you're going to manage that, because it is going to be important for you in the next run-up. If you deal with it well, then in the next Venus retrograde, it will be less triggering. They do come up over big cycles, so it'll be a while yet anyway. However, it's to know that this is the opportunity right now to make those changes. Also, love relationships may be quite tricky at this aspect. You may feel getting close to the one that you love is quite difficult. Even in relationships, you might find that sense of real love and connection isn't there. There is that kind of stickler energy of the Capricorn energy, which can make it quite difficult. And so there's a kind of cooler element, but it's okay. Just kind of really ride what you can create rather than worrying about what you can't create, right? So step into that energy of understanding that what you can do is going to work better for you. Now, those who've got Capricorn in their charts might feel really kind of introspective, distant. You might find if you know anyone with Capricorn, they're going to be kind of difficult to reach right now. And also that there may be some misunderstandings around this as well. So be really careful, be really eyes wide open here, and check into how you're dealing with your relationships. Be very, very loving, and also be very forgiving in this place, because it can bring up stuff that that you're just struggling with, right? And triggers as well. Now, the energy of Gemini can be quite anxious, so I would recommend a little bit of exercise, meditation, really grounding your energy, and giving yourself space due to that, because anxiety can make us feel irritable, and it can then lead to irritability, can lead to arguments, it can then lead to kind of warlike feelings. So let's bring that sort of back with a more gentle approach and get that exercise in, get a lot of movement in, and give your body that space to sort of realign itself, rather than allowing the anxiety to peak, which then makes us feel uncomfortable. So be careful of that, right? Also, if you can, kind of connect to other people, because that connection is going to really help you. And really share in those times. Give that sharing element some sort of consideration, because Geminis they're very sociable creatures. They're very sociable in their ways. They want to bring love and joy to the world, and they're very kind, okay? And they love to socialize. So bring that in and find ways to be around other people. So So to wrap this up, I want to talk about going from 2021 into 2022. Remember, this is a big full moon. It's amplifying lots of changes. As I say, we move from one energy into another. That amplification makes it even more profound. You know, in this there is a bit of Saturn holding court here as well. So it could try to hold us back. Saturn can have that energy, that kind of valedictorian energy, but it's time to step into change. There may be some kind of, we may feel more intensified during this period as well. So kind of look at relationship harmony, look at your old structures, your own internal old structures, the way you're viewing the world, and understand the powerfulness of this moon, and let it help you to make the changes that are necessary. Also be aware as we move into 2022, there may be some kind of rebellion energy presenting itself. Now, as I say this, I look at this in a different light. Rebellion's an interesting thing because it can have different aspects to it. It can present itself in different ways, and I'm seeing this coming up in a slightly different way. There is Uranus energy available here, and this Uranus energy it's a strange one, okay, because you don't really know what's going to happen in that energy. It's really hard to predict. So there's a kind of surprise available. So what I would say is anchor your energy down, be really anchored, be really strong as we move from this year into next year, and really be aware of keeping your eye on being really visually available to yourself on how you want your life to look in the new energy, in the new future, right? And there may be lots of things coming unwound. Things might come unwound, and that's okay. Let it happen. Let it come undone so you can create newness from it, okay? So that you can imagine it as if you've been creating this beautiful, you've been knitting a scarf, and you're knitting it and you're looking at it and it's come out wrong. You've got a big bit in it and you've had to unravel it and take it apart. Take it apart and find what you need to correct and bring it back and make it right. And this is what this energy is about. I am seeing very strongly this energy is about making that change, stepping into a newness for you that's going to help you to really ground the energies. So using the Venus retrograde effectively, understanding the Gemini energy can make us a little bit confused, but also riding its curiosity and bringing in this deep understanding of what we need to reflect upon, allowing that Sagittarian energy of truth to really be a real truth as opposed to a kind of illusory truth. We want the honest truth now, the clean, pure truth. Okay, stepping into that energy will bring us to a better space, my lovelies. Anyway, darlings, thank you so much for listening to this new moon in Gemini report. I'm sending you so much love. If I don't connect with you again before Christmas and the new year, which I probably will, but I'm just going to say happy Christmas for those who celebrate, and for those who don't, I'm sending you so much love at this time. We are coming to the end of the year and love is so necessary. Also, I'm going to say take care of yourselves and really look after yourselves right now. All my love. Namaste everyone. Take care. Bye.